Well, we have tracked down Nicholas Gibbs. He is vacationing in how many island? What?
Anna Maria Island.
Anna Maria, because it'd be Santa Maria if it was the West Coast. See, Anna Maria Island. All right. Well, I don't know that place, but now I know have another idea for future visits. We have had a rock and roll week. It's not going to get any. I think it's going to just continue to do that. But let's see. I'm going to actually start off instead of me. I'm going to start off with you. What is top of your mind today with regard to Tesla or the markets or whatever?
Yeah, what's on top of my mind right now, just literally speaking about right this moment, is what's going on in the aftermarkets. It seems like everything's down right now, and I suspect it has something to do with the Iran threats on targeting deeper inside Israel. I don't know. I just, to be completely honest, I just got in a hotel room. So I'm a little discombobulated, but I see everything's down. I try to figure out what it was quickly, and so I think that's top of mind right now. Maybe Randy, you can help me figure out what happened after the close. I saw Rivian earnings came out, so I don't think it has anything to do with that because this looks market wide. We're
It is
down
market
about
wide. It
one to
is
two
market wide.
percent.
Yep, yep. Yeah. In fact,
So that's
I went down and looked at the Mag 7 and they're pretty much all down, $2-3 here and there. Yeah, I didn't see anything in particular that would cause me to think one thing or another might have changed. I have talked, and I'm not trying to be political here, but I have talked a little bit about we had the Trump bump in the market a couple of weeks
mm,
ago. This might be the Kamala dump because people are now worried that maybe for whatever reason she could be elected, and that would not be necessarily good for the market. Again, not political, just reality is that not likely to be reducing the amount of regulatory issues and whatnot. So this could be, part of that. She has a new vice presidential person who she's selected. I don't want to go into that on this particular program today because I'll just throw up all over the screen. But okay, let's. So I know I have nothing else that would add to the story. Rivian, you mentioned Rivian and Lucid. Both of them had really not very good reports. Did that impact you in any way, shape, or form? I don't pay a lot of attention to competition, but
no, no, not really. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of Lucid's earnings. Nothing special there. Saudi's pumping another 1.5 billion there. Rivian, same thing, a little better than the expectations, but Volkswagen pumping about a billion into there with a kicker of potentially another 4 billion, depending on how things go. So other than that, no, not really. See, the thing is, I don't see these other EV companies as competition because when I think of Tesla, I think of FSD. I don't. I feel like the whole electric vehicle, getting to profitability on the EV and the hardware of it. I feel like that was the story for, you know, 2020 and pre. Now it's all about FSD and Optimus. So yeah, these are interesting. It's good to know just to understand what's happening out there in the market. But I don't think we're just different. We're in different decades.
right, right, right. So we had the PR department of Tesla has gotten extremely busy lately. And so we had Tucker and the Cybertruck. Did you have an? Did you have an? I haven't even watched the whole video yet. Have you had a chance to watch the whole video?
Yeah, I did actually. I watched it last night.
And what did you think?
Um, I thought it was parts of it were interesting. I think it'll probably resonate to a lot of people who maybe wouldn't have ever watched a review of a Cybertruck and maybe open their eyes a little bit to it. But even then, just listen to a lot of things they were saying. I was like, there's still a lot of things that they don't understand. Like the guy at one point said, I don't want to sleep with this next to my bed. Do you? And Tucker's like, oh no, probably not. Like, this is so dumb because they're talking about catching on fire. I'm like, this is
I know.
idiotic. Yeah, and
Yeah,
the other guy was like, "Oh, it takes so much water to put out a fire." It's like, that's like saying it takes so much water to put out a grease fire. It's like
yeah.
there's different ways to do chain breaking, right? So
It was yeah, so I didn't see it, but my wife did, and she was giving me a little bit of the review of it. And I had to have a conversation with somebody else today who was highly placed. That interview will be out on Friday, and he was also likewise not in touch, just completely. And he's a significant player that should know what the realities are on the ground are. And he just was, talking about, oh, range anxiety and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, not on a Tesla, And so
no,
there's a lot of education to be done, in particular on the right side of the ledger. The right wing just seems to know less about it than the left wing does. Then we had Trump and Eden yesterday.
Aiden, Aiden.
Aiden, okay, Aiden. Yeah, I don't watch his show. So Trump and Aiden and getting a Cybertruck with quite the rap. So any thoughts on that particular piece of PR?
You know, so the kid's name is Aiden Ross, and it I'm a generation away from what his content is or whatever. So to be honest, I don't really know what all he does. Like, I've seen him kind of get embarrassed a few times with like Andrew Tate, for example, where they had like the interview thing and Andrew Tate just kind of humiliates him. Just essentially saying that he's not a man. He's just like, I don't know. Um,
A young man, a young man.
like,
Lot
yeah,
to
well,
learn. Lot to learn.
like in so in the military, we would have called someone like Aiden a NARP, a non-athletic a non-athletic regular person. So and Andrew Tate kind of like jokes on him a lot, essentially in his own way calling him a NARP.
I
But
see.
so that's really the extent of my understanding of who Aiden Ross is and what he does. But what I can tell you, all this lead up to, I was at a charging station um, when I was at Lowe's maybe a month ago, and I was talking to this Indian guy who's there with the Cybertruck, and we are just talking about actually selling covered calls. And this girl walks up, and she's asking if she could take a picture of the Cybertruck. Said this is so cool, and she said like I've never seen one of these in person, and she's like Aiden Ross has one, and I knew the name, and I'm like okay, I was like, oh, so you like the Cybertruck? She's like, yeah, I didn't even know what this thing was. I was like, oh, so do you like Elon Musk or anything like that? She's like, who? I'm like, Aiden Ross. Good to know. So my point in saying this story is it was just really interesting this interview happened because there's a lot of people that are discovering Tesla Cybertrucks through streamers like Aiden Ross. So yeah, it's interesting, and I think the same thing goes for the Tucker Carlson interview. Well, I think sometimes I think Tucker Carlson plays stupid intentionally. Kind of pandering a little bit to maybe his audience or the people he's speaking
Right.
with at the moment.
Right.
Um, I I still think like these are new mediums to get exposure of the Cybertruck or of Tesla to these people. So yeah, I know. A long way of saying, yeah, I think Tesla is going about marketing and advertisement in a very unique way.
Yeah, they are. So then that brings me to the upcoming Trump and Musk interview on Monday
Yes.
night. So, I'm sure that the basic concept, the basic idea of this interview will be to, talk about what Trump plans to do and how he plans to do it and stuff. But I'm kind of hoping that maybe Musk will use it as an opportunity to kind of inform Trump, to try to maybe use this forum to get him to think a little bit differently about electrification, about BEVs and their place in the market, about things like range anxiety, the things that are worrying the general public. And because I think if we could get just a few of these Republican leaders to begin to be more open, just to be more open to what's going on, I think it could have more. I've been saying this for how long? I don't know, for a year. probably it's in the book. It's probably in the mission. I think getting the great Midwest and the South and the Southwest, Texas and Oklahoma, to get these folks on board with Tesla is it's harder because their gasoline prices are lower. We got to keep that in mind, but it's not impossible. And I just think they need to get over this fear or this anxiety that is being forced on them.
Yeah, I suspect that the topic of electric vehicles won't be touched in the way many investors want it to. And to be honest, I think a lot of investors have the wrong idea of what Elon should be talking about. So to your point, I think a lot of people want him to explain, educate, and open the eyes of Trump.
Just gently.
Wrong place, wrong time for one. He needs to win an election. So I think it's the wrong place, wrong time for that. But secondly, I think a lot of Tesla investors are stuck in the thinking of last decade. Trying to convince, yeah, we need to move beyond trying to convince people about electric vehicles, about range, all that. That is not the right problem to be trying to solve.
Good point.
And I'll explain my point of view on that. What we need to be focused on is leapfrogging that problem. It won't matter what the vehicle, you don't care what type of fuel your airplane uses, do you? No, you're just happy that it gets from point A to point B. Nobody's going to care what the drivetrain of their robotaxi is, as long as it gets them from point A to point B.
Yep.
And that's what we need to focus on. Just getting the FSD, getting that to scale. Because if you do that, that solves all the other problems, right? The business is not about selling electric vehicles. It's about FSD. And so to waste energy and time on that, I think is asking the wrong question. And we should just focus on FSD. And I think what Elon will probably focus more on with Trump is talking about wasteful spending, getting rid of handouts, getting rid of subsidies across the board, not just for the EVs, but also for gas or for the oil industry, just cleaning house, kind of going Argentina style, Madero style. Yeah. So I think that's what this conversation is going to be more about, and less about Elon trying to get Trump to see the light about, hey, it's okay. Like, you don't actually worry about range and all these things. So I think people will be disappointed about it, but I think that's what's going to be about. And that will be a very smart strategic move, in my opinion, by Elon if he does that.
Yeah, nice. I like it. Hey, so then Musk is suing the advertisers over at X. He says, for 2 years we've tried to make peace. Now we're going to war. So what did you think about all that?
Yeah, it's complicated. Because on the one, I think there's a lot that we don't know and we don't see. For example, I think now everybody knows about the the sugar industry and the soft beverage drink companies, Coca-Cola, whatever, all these companies essentially spending money to make meat the enemy, to make carbs good, right? The whole food pyramid, right? Have all your carbs, have a little bit of meat, and it's like, turns out everything was upside down, right? It's all backwards. But you have these campaigns that everything was about fats. Fats are bad for you, right? Fats will make you fat. It's like, wait, what? Now we know better. So I think there's a lot of that going on right now with what Elon's seen with X and what's happened to advertisers, is that there's this consorted attempt to boycott X so that they can maintain a certain narrative, certain influence, and try to keep a certain power that we don't see. And that sounds very tinfoil hat, but I think over the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen this play out over and over, and the light being shown in all these entities. And it's just proven to be true over and over again. So I think there's a lot that's hidden there that we don't see, that we're being manipulated more than we even know. Even if we think that we're unmanipulated and we're plugged out of the matrix and we see what's happening, I would wager that there's a lot of things we don't know that's happening that is actually influencing us and decisions that we make that we're not even aware of because, well, certain companies are banding together to not advertise this but advertise that, and just doing a lot of things that we're not aware of. So I think what Elon's been doing as of late, as of the last, I don't know, 3 years, what you could say is he's being political, he's being controversial. I think he's shedding a lot of light in a lot of areas that need, let's just say, disinfection.
Well, so I look back on my career in business. I mean, I still have a career in business, but I'm not really seeking new customers at this time. But I look back and I think that there were probably a couple of companies over the years that might not have done business with me because of a certain political thing that I might have said or done. We had we printed on water bottles, and so our big business was advertising specialty. And so there were things we wouldn't print. We wouldn't even print hard liquor advertising on our bottles. So there could be people that were bringing us that kind of an offer, that kind of business that would go, well, we're not going to do business with you in the future. You're not going to do this. We're not going to give you any of our business. And that's okay.
That's fine.
I see nothing wrong with that. But if that guy had gotten on the phone and called 17 other companies and said, hey, get together with me and let's boycott this company because he doesn't like hard liquor, I think that would be wrong and that would be actionable. I think that's what Trump is trying to do. Trump, Musk is
Elon, yeah. No, exactly. So, and listen, we're taking Elon's word for it.
Yep.
That we can see all this, right? Like, if you're going to be a real unbiased person, you can't just assume Elon is telling you the truth either, right? You question everything at all times. But I think the way you're saying this, that's a very good analogy, right? It's okay not to want to advertise there. That's fine. That's your right as a company.
Right.
But when you try to competitively squash someone, whether it's because you don't like the ability for us everyday people to have, a place to just have free discourse, and you think there's certain hate speech, whatever, if you think that somebody's going against your political party, if whatever it is, if you're sitting there and trying to ban a majority to crush competition, that's wrong. That is anti-capitalism.
I agree.
That's a bully. That's a bully.
All right. So the other thing that's been crazy this week, besides PR for Tesla, has been the markets. And it started last week, just about the time you and I, said goodbye. Wednesday, we had, I think, a huge up market. Huge up market on Wednesday. Then Thursday and Friday crushed. Then Monday crushed. Then today, a little, some people might call it a dead cat bounce. Some people might call it just a, bargain hunting effort going on right now. And then what we're seeing right now is another tipping over and looking like maybe going negative again tomorrow morning. So what do you make of all of this?
Yeah, so what's happened here? A few things. One, this all really, I would say, started on Friday. I started a little bit on Thursday and crept into Friday. Friday, things started to explode, and on Monday they really exploded. And so it all started with Friday when we got the unemployment numbers. As you know, we jumped up on the unemployment rate. We triggered the Psalms rule, and it almost seemed like cooler heads were going to prevail. It seemed that way until over the weekend. All of a sudden, Buffett sells essentially half of all of his Apple stake, goes heavy into cash. At least that's the optics of it. And we start to see this whole Japanese crisis happening where people are essentially trying to, get rich quick, if you will, where they're borrowing Japanese yen to then invest into, normally you do like a 10-year treasury note over in the States, and, you are essentially playing arbitrage there. But instead, people were dumping it into the Mag 7, right? And so essentially, lots of margin calls are happening on Monday. And lots of people got caught. When I say people, I'm talking about big brokers, hedge funds, right? Like Wall Street got caught. They got caught with their hand in the piggy bank. Clever idea, by the way. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But so that led to Monday being everybody freaking out, right? You had literally Jeremy Siegel on CNBC demanding that the Fed do a 75 basis cut now and another one in September. All of a sudden, you heard everybody talk about what I've been saying, doing a early cut that wasn't planned, and I actually thought it was going to happen. But this was the exact type of scenario that I kept describing to you for the last like 6 months, Randy, where something unexpected was going to happen. And this, I think, was it. This was that unexpected thing that was going to happen. Because when you have all of a sudden Japan raising rates, everybody else is cutting, the dollar starts to devalue. Like you get caught off guard, and lots of people get caught off guard. And you can't predict these things because you don't know what people are doing until things move against them. Like, uh-oh, what happened? You know, it's like Warren Buffett, right? You don't know who's swimming naked until the tide goes out, and all of a sudden, oh, I didn't know before, but now I know, right? And you don't know because you can't predict when the tide's going to come in or out. You just don't know. So I think, but Monday was interesting because so Asia, Far East markets opened up and they crashed. You saw Japan shut down their markets. You saw Korea shut down their markets. Shut down, right? They triggered, the breakers got triggered. China tanked, Europe tanked, and then the U.S. opened up 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And you saw, which was really interesting, you saw everything open at the lows of the pre-market, but then throughout the whole day, you saw everything recover.
Right.
Everything started to recover. And then today, you saw, I wouldn't even call it a dead cat bounce. I would say you just saw things maybe revert back to the mean a little bit. And I would still say that we haven't really reverted back to the mean quite yet. I think there's still some fear out there. And I think that last bit of fear is this whole Iran attack on Israel. So everything that's happening right now, I think there's a lot of fear. The good thing is it's going to force the Fed to not pass up on September. They're going to cut, whether it's 25 or 50 basis point, we'll see. I still suspect that it'll be, at this point, I think it'll probably be 50 basis point. We'll have to see what some of these numbers come up in the coming days, coming weeks. That will really dictate it. But I don't think there's going to be any early move. And it definitely seems like cooler heads are prevailing now. Seems like the ship's back on even keel, but that just shows you how quickly things can turn around. And this event is just one event. We might get another event tomorrow that nobody's aware of, nobody's keeping an eye on. So yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, you did. And so my concern, or my not even concern, my analysis is that even as I read all of the commentary today, people were still trying to play off any recession. They were trying to play off any idea that things are worse than we think in the economy. I saw one that was going, down the same list you and I do all the time, and saying, well, manufacturing has been in a recession for 2 years, but it's not that bad. I'm thinking, well, manufacturing's been in a recession for 2 years, and then the ISM and the S&P numbers come in last Thursday, and they're worse than expected, with a guidance saying that they think the rest of the year it's going to be even worse, that their order books are empty. So this was offset by the same reports, the ISM and the S&P on services yesterday coming in better than expected with full order books. So you've got a lot of two market. We've talked about two markets. There's some things are doing well, some things aren't. Larry is always talking about the rolling recession. Kathy talks about the rolling
Kathy
recession.
Woods, yeah.
Kathy, So we've got, and then we've talked about also the two parts of the economy in terms of those under 100,000 and those over 100,000. Those under 100,000 really suffering bad. The new numbers came out from the Fed just a little while ago today, saying that the credit cards are, up even more. Credit card debt is up even more, and delinquencies are happening. Tomorrow we get the credit report, not their credit report, but the I forget who puts it out, the census office or somebody, I forget, puts out one tomorrow. We'll see what that one comes in. So if the economy is as I think it is, and it really is going to go into a modest recession, I don't think it's going to be a horrible recession, then the market really needs to get a full bear. We're too overextended for a flat to down GDP. If the economy is going to stay at 1 to 2%, then maybe we've had all the correction we're going to get. I don't know. That's where I am.
Yeah, I don't. So I love Cathie Wood's rolling recession. I don't want to say theory, but concept, because I think that's very accurate of what's happened. I would say like 2022 was definitely the tech recession, right? Where you saw Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Google, everybody, right? Crazy layoffs, getting really lean, and you've seen them be able to have a great 2023 and great 2024 as a result. You've seen the auto industry, obviously, we're very familiar with that. I think that's still in a recession. And I think that still has a lot of legs to bear out for the OEMs, because they're still, they still have a facade that's of things looking good because they have dealerships to kind of buffer things. But I think that eventually they're going to have to work through that. And I think that'll be painful for them. They're just delaying the inevitable. Whereas, Tesla, I don't want to say EVs, but Tesla specifically, they're real time.
Right.
Right. And so you're going to see this, I think, continue to happen. But I do think we will skirt a recession. I do think we'll have a soft landing because of government. Is the only reason. If government wasn't hiring the way they were, if government wasn't spending the way they were, we are in a recession. Like, we are, right? GDP is negative, hiring is negative, but government is propping everything up. Now, I don't see that changing anytime soon. And even if Trump were to get elected, I think you'll see regulations get cut. I think you'll see a lot of spending get cut. I love hearing Elon is talking to Trump about that. To me, that would be people talk about it'd be awesome if Elon could be president. Forget that. Let him be the guy who goes at the efficiency czar. Let him be the one that goes in there. No. Flying out, right? Let him Maduro this. This is out. That's what we need. That's exactly what we need to get rid of and scrutinize everything. Get rid of the spending. Explain this to me. No, do this with less. Figure it out. Right? Somebody that's just go in there with that type of mentality. And I think even if we were going to go into a recession, that type of, injection of drop in spending, open up, decrease regulation, that just opens up an entire economy, right? It unburdens from what has been.
Yeah. All right. Well, you've got about 4 minutes left before I have to cut you loose. So let's see if we have enough time to go through the stuff here. So we've got.
I got a few extra minutes.
A few extra minutes. Okay. So we got Tesla down 364 in the after hours. But as I mentioned, if you go down the list, you've got Apple down 123, you've got Google down 99, you've got Amazon down 83. So pretty much everybody's down, but Tesla is down more. But to your point, with no news that I know of that would be impacting that. We did have a drug company in Germany, I think it was, who said they're no longer going to buy Tesla vehicles because of Elon's politics. And that got a big article, but they only own 38. So I don't think that's worth billions of dollars and change in the market valuation anyway. So that's kind of where we are with the after hours that I'm seeing right now in the actual the ones that we can see. By the way, the Dow was up 294 today, NASDAQ up 166, S&P 53, and Tesla up 176. Mag 7 mixed, but mostly up, and Cathie Wood mixed also. All right. So any more thoughts about action today?
Actually, I just have a question for you, Randy. Sure. I imagine you might be a little more up to date on this than I am, but what's going on with this whole Iran, Israel, Hamas, Hezbollah?
Well, I think where you are right now on all of that is you've got nobody knows. So what you have is that Israel, was able to penetrate Iran's defenses on a very personal level and eliminate their enemy who was being harbored by Iran. Now, you could make the argument that Iran needs to respond to that, or quite frankly, Iran can make the argument like, hey, it's not our problem. Yeah, they're our surrogate. They're supposedly our buddies, but we can't go to war over the fact that Israel comes over and knocks off the leader of their arch enemy, who is in a bitter war with them right now in Gaza. So I could see Iran going either way on that. But if they choose to do something and they use Hezbollah to create a two-front war, that is going to be problematic for Israel. Although some people, I saw one article at least yesterday, say Israel's actually wanting it to happen because that'll give them the excuse to completely destroy the entire Iranian nuclear capability. And they probably have the means to do it. So it's it's hard to know what's going to happen with that, but it will involve the United States if it happens, because the U.S. is pledged to at least help them defend the missiles that might be coming from Hezbollah or from Iran.
Do you think we should get involved if something like that happens?
It doesn't even matter what I think. I think that there's no way they don't get involved. No boots on the ground, but there will be the ships at sea and the planes in the air will be helping to defend Israel.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's complicated. I feel like there's a lot of testing and pressing the United States right now, because we are spread thin. We've got a lot of things going on, a lot of places. We're trying to create a presence over in Taiwan. We got, Russia, Ukraine. We obviously got Israel, Hamas, and now, here with Iran, we're already in the Red Sea trying to defend there from the Houthi attacks on vessels. It's almost like there's a game, like how thin can we spread the United States while they're in transition of power? And it's a very opportune time, and it's scary. It almost feels like in many ways we're walking right into this very obvious playbook. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of things I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think the idea that we were on the verge of World War III is probably overblown. Well, I definitely think it's overblown, but you don't ever know. World War I started on something so crazy that the historians are still trying to figure out how that could have possibly happened. So anyway, but yes, it will impact the market. Believe me, if Iran and Hezbollah start raining down missiles, and Israel and the United States are unable to truly defend against them, if there starts to be any kind of significant loss of life in Israel, and depending on Israel's response and how significant that is, the market will definitely get into the fear territory again. By the way, we didn't even talk about the VIX. So
the
VIX back up a little bit in the pre-market, but it was up to, I think, the highest like ever.
65
interday, but not.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I see. I'm if I do anything of the options, I'm a premium seller. So I'm the casino. So when VIX is high, I'm selling. I'm selling options. Yeah, I'm eating all up. So I was able to print a lot of money over the last few days.
I saw your post on that. Yeah.
I didn't even. I haven't even posted. I'll post like my total August earnings, but just in 1 week, I made 8,000 just off of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
The VIX is so high. It was there for the taking. So
I don't think it's going down anytime soon. I think.
Well, it has. It went from 65
from here. I think it's going to be in the
Oh,
20s for a while.
well, and that's honestly that is normally seen as elevated, right? So that's a normal elevated VIX.
Right, right. Yeah,
So
yes.
yeah, so it'll be interesting. Let me ask you one last question. I know
Sure.
I'm the one that has to go. Um, how do you see the rest of the week playing out for Tesla?
Oh, for Tesla. Wow. Right now, there's nothing right this minute because of this fear index being where it is. There's nothing that tells me that Tesla is going to go against the market this week. I think Tesla is going to it's been following the market since Friday. I think it'll continue to follow the market because there's no, unless there's some, significant news. And I would have thought, all this PR sometimes would have been some kind of news. We got great China numbers. James Catt came in today and said he thought 475 was a realistic number now for the quarter. So there's stuff that could have moved Tesla higher, but right now, when you're in a fear-off situation or when there's a lot of fear in the market, the tendency is for people to start looking at stocks more as commodities in their own niche, as opposed to playing them for themselves, unless there's significant news.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
That's
So
that's my
I,
fear.
I will say I was shocked that we didn't hear more about the China numbers
Yeah.
because Tesla is doing very well,
Yeah.
quarter over quarter, year over year. They're definitely hitting everything right now. But I agree with your sentiment. I don't see much moving right now. I think Tesla will continue to ride the wave with the market,
Right.
for better or worse. I do think that at some point over the next 60 days, I do see Tesla running up.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still of the opinion, look, back in early July, I guess you would say, Tesla started to run.
Yeah.
We got all the way up to what, 265, 270?
Yep.
Why? Because of the robotaxi event. I find it very hard to believe. Nothing's changed since then.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
If anything, only things changes, we're going to see more things now.
Right.
So I really feel like there should be a run up to that. So not saying any financial advice or
Right.
buy the rumor, sell the news, anything like that, but it will be interesting to see what happens from that and just yeah, and I guess really this Monday interview with Elon and Trump.
That should be something. All right, bonds. We got the bonds in the pre-market
Oh,
down 0.5%. That's interesting because it had been up and now it is down. So that collapse that we're seeing in the equities, we're also seeing the reverse. We're seeing the
yeah.
bonds go up, meaning the yields go down. So we're at 3882. And here's been another one that we didn't get a chance to really talk about, is that the inversion went positive and now it's back to negative again, but it is only sitting right this minute at 8 basis points. So we're very close to getting that reversion, that reversion, or whatever you want to call re-inversion. I'm not sure what the right word is. So that we've been waiting for that because actually that's supposed to spell that the recession is on.
Well, yeah. So I was going to ask, what are your thoughts about that? Because the SOM rule, even the person who created the SOM rule, she herself said, like, yeah, it probably doesn't count this time.
Right.
Right.
Because of
Because there's a lot of well, immigration, the hurricane, like there's just lots of things that are going on with it, right? A lot of it's skewed. And I would even say the inversion doesn't always signal,
yes.
or it doesn't always.
Right.
It doesn't. There are times where it hasn't. So, but I was just, when I saw that finally invert, I was like, oh, well, that'll be fun to talk to Randy about. What were you thinking that moment? Were you like, told you, we're sinking, we're dying?
It's like, you've been following it. I report on it twice a day, every day, right? Morning and night. And it's like, you're sitting there, you're going, when is this thing going to reinvert? Because it doesn't really make sense. Economically, it just doesn't make sense for a person to be willing to pay more for something short term, get higher yield for long term, short term than they do for long term. Just doesn't make any sense. So so when you've got that inversion, you've got to start asking yourself, what happens economically? What are the people thinking? That's what I try to do. I try to get in the head of the players. What are they thinking? What is the reason for this? And one of the things that's been brought up is that the Treasury was going that direction. They were purposefully selling more 10-years, which was putting pressure on the 10-year. And and I forget who it was that said this. Somebody says, I think it would have been Larry. He said they should have, 3 years ago, they should have been selling 50-year. We've been set.
That's what Trump wanted to do, right? He wanted to do the 100-year bond.
Yeah, but when it's down at 2%, when it's down at 1%, sell 50-year, 100-year bonds. Anyway, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I continue to believe that we're in a recession already. It started in June. That's my thinking. We'll see what happens. We'll never know it started in June, but that's when I saw the drop off that I think is that's when the consumer ran out of money. That's when the companies stopped doing CapEx. And that's the two things that I'm looking at that is going to be the final drips, if you will. Whoops, I lost it. Okay, oil down in the pre-market, not much, but it's already down to 73 in Texas Intermediate. Brent's at 76. Natural gas up a little in the aftermarket, and actually, oh yeah, look at that, back over $2 again. So I've been watching that natural gas a lot because it's really depressed at this point, like copper is, and copper is down 0.82 to under $4 again. So this is really interesting, and all the commodities are down. This is another big, piece of information in terms of a recession. Having all the commodities, the entire commodity index is very, very, very down. Gold 24.26 down 470. Silver down 1.09 at 26.92. Both of those down pretty significantly from a couple of weeks ago at this point. Thoughts? Any thoughts on any of
that? No, I mean, just more of the same we've talked about. Oil is interesting. I think oil is going to continue to fall.
Okay, that'd be interesting because this is not going to be what the OPEC guys want, and so will they come out with another cut?
Potentially, but I think they're at a point right now where they can't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like the only way they cut is if Saudi cuts. Because all the other OPEC countries are saying no.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. In fact, the Saudis were even like, well, we'll let you have a little more. Yeah. We'll see. That'll be interesting. All right, let's go real quick here because you got places to be. The dollar is up against the yen, down against the euro. So that continues to be a flip from the last couple of days where everything else seems to be now reverting to the downward equity slide. And the upward bonds and things of that nature. The Bitcoin, however, is still in recovery mode after dipping under 50. Oh,
yeah.
But it's 28.13 up to date at 56. That still puts it, what would that be? 30%, 35% under the all-time high. That's a hard pill to swallow if you bought any at that level. What do you think's happening with Bitcoin in this environment?
I hate to say this, but because I have a lot of friends that love Bitcoin, all that. So I know this is going to be a controversial and opinion. People think that I just don't get it is what I would be told. But I feel like the Bitcoin experiment is kind of proven to have failed. At least as it's been described, right? I don't think you can consider it a store of value anymore.
Right.
Because on Monday, you would have expected that to have been the safest place to be, and it should have gone up to your right. Exactly. It should have been no different than gold. Instead, I think it sold off harder than any of the tech companies.
Yes, it did.
And it didn't rebound as good as tech companies.
Right.
So that tells me that it's more of a
speculative
tech play. Yeah. Right. than a store value. Even if there is a limited supply, it still sits in that bucket. For now, at least. Maybe it'll change in the future, but I would say Monday was not a good example of its
Yes.
store of value.
That's right. Or even Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
The equities, we got the Dow down 102 or 20.26%, S&P down 23 or 0.44%, and the NASDAQ taking it the hardest, down 113 or 0.62%. So that would suggest, at least, that we will have another down day tomorrow. We have no news, no significant news this week. And then next week is loaded, just loaded. So if you think this week's exciting, where there's no,
what all do we get next week?
oh, you got the CPI and the PPI and the
PPI, that was it.
small business, and what do you call it? The National Association of Small Business, whatever it's called. Anyway, independent businesses with their optimism outlook, they call it, but it's not been very optimistic for the last year. You've got, it just goes on and on. So, there's so many reports next week. So it could be a very volatile week next week.
Yeah, CPI will be interesting. Have you looked at Truflation lately?
I have not, because I just really gave up that there was any consistency that I could count on, because they kept changing it, once a month radically. But when I say, have I looked at it? Yeah. The other day it was, I think, at 1.58.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up, is that, see, but here's the thing. I don't think Truflation is wrong. I think CPI lags or is manipulated. I think Truflation is, and I'm not saying Truflation is exact either, but I think Truflation is a closer source of truth,
okay,
than what CPI is.
But
and
what do you do with Truflation when on July 31st it's at 2.3, and then on August 1st it's at 1.7? I mean, it's like, what do I do? It was, well, that wasn't true this month, by the way, but there are previous months where it was 50 basis points or more that they just changed it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's the thing with the CPI. The same thing happens. It's just they do it once a year at the beginning of the year, every year, right? So if they choose to do it on a month-to-month, or as they learn more or get better data, why would I wait? I mean, it's like Tesla model, right? If I could do something new now, why would I wait until the next year's model? No, just do it now. Let's implement this right away. So I don't know. I like it. I don't know if it's a signal to do anything with it, but I think it's just a good place to know where things are really going.
Yeah, I don't dismiss that there's value there.
Yeah.
What I stopped using it as was anything that I could use on a daily basis to give me a true trend.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because I'm all about trends. The snapshots, yeah, you got to take them. But to me, it's about trends. And right now, the trend tells me we're going into recession, or already in recession. So, yeah. And by the way, that should mean that the CPI and PPI should be good next week.
Yeah. Well, what'll be interesting is how the market takes it.
Yeah.
Does the market takes it as great validation? We're gonna get cuts, or are they gonna take it as, oh crap, no, the Fed's so late, they need to hurry up and do a bigger cut, right? It's like, how's the market gonna take it? It was comical to me. It's like the market's been waiting for rate cuts, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, it's a guarantee it's gonna come, and the market freaks out and wants to sell off. It's like, wait, hold on. We've been saying that we can't rally because the rates haven't cut. Now they're gonna cut and we're freaking out.
That's Randy's number one rule. We have to remember Randy's number one rule.
What's that?
If it's way out here and it's been going up all the time, it's time for it to come back down. If it's way down here and it's been way down here for a long time, it's time for it to start going back the other way. And you could also look at that as risk reward. Is it more likely to go up 2%, or is it more likely to come down 5%? Et cetera, et cetera. So
Regression to the mean, always.
Always. That's right. That's right. All right. Well, thank you for staying on extra, because I told you we had a lot to cover, and I hope you enjoy your dinner out and your time there in that island, which I'm sure you'll tell me about later.
Absolutely.
All right. To all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.